I was wondering if we were even going to record because as me and Thabani were talking in pre-production, this season is finished. it felt like a preseason football.
We're going to be a
Guys,
rugby podcast soon.
we may have to jump ship. Anyways, welcome to another episode of D&D. I am your the echo.
Is it good? Can you hear me?
When I saw the invites for us to record today, I was very surprised because this season is finished. It's dead. Guys, this felt like preseason. This football that we're going to talk about on this podcast. Thabani was saying in pre-production, we may have to become a rugby podcast, and I'm hearing it. In any way,
I've never had less to say. I find myself just having less to say about things now. There's nothing to talk about.
Disclaimer, we're going to play games in this episode because that's really the only thing we can do at this stage of the season. In any case, welcome to another episode of Debates Never Die. I am your host after a long hiatus, although not on purpose. We had a few issues with episodes we did record. Malcom, aka Sheiks, joined by two gentlemen who are, I'd say, they're in the pits, but for different reasons. Thabani stated his reason being the season, there's nothing to discuss. And if you know Thabani, he always has something to say. So that's very indicative of, I guess, the state of football. And Khanya said before, in pre-production, he's looking forward to international break. If there's no better sign of the sport being dead, it's someone looking forward to international break. In any case, gentlemen, how are you doing? Khanya, let's start with you. How is everything going on your end, fam?
Nah, man. We're good. Liverpool lost. I think that has given me a big boost. I think now we can really soak it in. All talk of this juggernaut of a team, everything simmers down. I think we needed an international break just so that people can be more real. We were getting carried away. The conversations I was hearing, football needed this break. Let's go watch Jordan for England. Let's all slow down.
And that's funny because Liverpool have actually been the only thing feeding my soul. Like the highs I've gotten in the past two Liverpool games have probably been higher than anything I've gotten since like last year. Anyways, Thabani, how are you doing, sir? How's everything, man?
I'd love to say that, United had a good win in Europe, strong win last night against Leicester. I'd love to say that these are the kind of things that excite me. But watching Liverpool lose twice has just reignited, just something inside me. Siba's dismay and his disdain in the group has just, every day I'm smiling. It's giving me joy. I'm back, like I'm up now because he's down. It's almost like an inverse relationship. So yeah, right now I've got a lot of energy. But then, like you say, it's international break, and like you'd want like more. Let's go and be excited about this break. But like you said, now we have to deal with Henderson playing for England and Thomas Tuchel just waffling about all these things. So every time we have every time it seems like we're making progress and getting more from this football season, it just seems to take more away from us. So, yeah, that's how I am right now.
I genuinely forgot Thomas Tuchel was the coach of England. Is this his
It
first
happens like that.
international break?
Genuinely, it's the first ever coach who I think sometimes he forgets. Because apparently, he lives in Germany. I think sometimes they have to call him and be like, oh, and then he's like, oh, yes. Then he comes back. I swear. He's not the full-time coach. It's a part-time gig at best.
It just football's in a weird place, man. But anyways, let's not cry completely. Khanya, you mentioned Liverpool at the top of your introduction. I think the footballing world can rejoice at that fact. Like, that's something that became very apparent to me this weekend. People do not like Liverpool. Like,
It's because they lie, bro. They lie. They lie about their players. They lie about their coaches. They lie about their achievements. If Liverpool win anything, it's suddenly the biggest thing ever. When it's just like, wait. Let's talk about how you got there. Let's be real. Let's be real. Like the fact that Liverpool is being spoken about as like one of the best sides in the world. It's just like, no, having one of the best seasons for sure. But when you watch them week to week, it's just like, bro, like the things wrong with them are very evident all the time.
which Thabani,
So yeah,
correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm
Go
wrong,
ahead.
Thabani, but that's kind of what you and Mvu were speaking to when you were dapping Arne Slot. It's the fact that he was getting results despite some very clear issues in that team.
Exactly. Like, it's not like we're not criticizing them for winning. That needs to be abundantly clear. No one has a problem with Liverpool because they were winning games. It's more how they were spoken about, the perception that they were trying to, or their fans were trying to create about this team. Like, no, we know what you're about. but we also know what everyone else is about. And we can see that everyone else is just being shit. So you are just the best of a bad bunch. Doesn't make you great. That's all we wanted. I like the fact that Liverpool really win shit prems. I think that's also like they're going to get number 20, but your number 20 is not like our number 20 as well. That's a conversation for another day. It's not for this episode. But like, it was more just that, like, shout out to them for winning, getting the job done. I do like the fact that they lost the final and they lost the Champions League, because I love how Liverpool, the one thing that annoys me is that they always seem to be in contention for treble. You check in with a Liverpool fan, they think about trebles way too much for a club that's never won a treble. You see, the number of times you hear them talking about trebles and stuff, it didn't sit right with me. So the fact that like their treble season is over, like I'm glad that happened.
And you almost can you can almost laugh at the the general consensus I'm getting is it's the delusion of Liverpool fans, and not delusion in the sense of it's unfounded, but it's more so like they're sensationalists. And
they love it. They love that thing, dude.
Right. I call it the Istanbul effect. And you kind of see it in the players, right? Like Van Dijk's, like his little comments, this is their cup final when they drew to Everton. Trent's with like that post from 2 years ago, and they said
hungry for more.
They said Trent would be the greatest Muslim ever. They said he'd be the greatest. Said he would 2 years fasting, but I just wanted to qualify this before we kind of get into our hate fest, so the Liverpool fans that do listen to our podcast know it's not out of nowhere. We don't just hate you because we hate you. We don't have beef with you because we have beef with you. We have beef with you because this is kind of the issue. It's like, how far do you take things? Now let's start with this game on Sunday. I only caught the second half, but from what I've read and from what I've seen, and please, the floor is open for whoever to comment, it seemed like Newcastle outplayed them on the day. Like, would you say that's a fair, analysis of the game in the general sense, that Newcastle looked the more comfortable of the two?
Liverpool played that game like they were playing another league game. Newcastle played it like they were playing a final. That's what I saw in that game. So Newcastle attacked with more intent. They were hungrier to score. They looked like the team more desperate to get the opening goal, and played like it. And then they had what seemed like overwhelming support at Wembley. I need to see the figures, but it seemed like Liverpool was strongly outnumbered. It just felt like it was meant to be Newcastle's day, and that transpired in how they managed to control the crowd, how they managed to like stifle out danger, how they managed to rally behind each other. They were geeing up the fans off the tackles. You guys know how I feel about that, but it just felt like they were in the ascendancy, and Liverpool felt like they were doing that thing of we'll beat them eventually, and. The same way they beat them in the league game at Anfield, a month and a bit ago. It felt like that way. Like that game could have easily. They thought they were going to win that game 2-0 if they just did what they've always been doing, and that's what it felt like.
And sorry, Khanya, before I go to you, Thabani, that's such a good way to kind of qualify Liverpool. We'll beat them eventually, because there's such a strong feeling of just wait it out. Salah will figure it out, or Nunez, if he's in the mood.
They're gonna lie. They're waiting for a lie. They're waiting for a random stroke of luck, some random deflection that just somehow goes your way when it shouldn't have. A corner you shouldn't have been given. We're waiting for it to be pulled out of thin air, and thankfully the face decided no. More than anything else, the face decided no. Dan Burn said no.
So, Khanya, who were the standouts for you in that game from both sides? Who were you impressed by?
Liverpool side, absolutely no one. I don't think anyone put their hand up. Chiesa gave me my favorite moment though. And we know now, matter of factly, he can't speak English because his reaction, his reaction showed me that he didn't know what was happening. I'm happy for him. On his CV, it will say he can't speak English. He's never.
Footballers
and that, maybe that's why
not
it's not
used to
playing.
the ref speaking. Footballers are not used to the ref speaking. I don't think a lot of them heard. So, like, if it's not your first language.
No. Go rewatch. There's a point where they run to him and they're like, and he goes, I saw him. And it's fine. It's not his first language. He just got here. There's no issue with it. I enjoyed seeing that moment, the shift to the joy, the optimism in his face. That's probably the highlight of his Liverpool career so far. Unfortunately, comes in an L. Like, he represented himself well in the time that he received. Don't know why he gets minutes like he's a Make-A-Wish child and like not an actual like
That's
Euro
the
winner.
most baffling for
I
me.
don't know
That's the
what
most
that's
baffling part
about.
for me. Yeah.
It's not like Liverpool have like a bunch of dynamic wingers on the bench that they can use ahead of him. Luis Diaz is not playing well enough for kids to not get minutes here and there. But yeah, I think Newcastle's perspective, honestly, to single out like one oak feels lazy. Dog, those oaks wanted it more. It's a cliche, but if you watch that Arsenal Amazon documentary, they won their fucking duels. They won the duels. They wanted it, bro. Like
Yeah.
Tab, you talk about Oaks geeing up the fans obstacles. That's what the game felt like for me. Like they're gonna win every tackle. They're gonna bust the gut to try and get there. Like the amount of intent they're attacking with, it felt like they could have scored maybe 3 or 4. Like the fact it was only 2-1, I think, is quite fortunate for Liverpool. On a different day, it could have gotten a bit worse. Although I will say, I'm willing to acknowledge that maybe fatigue plays a role in how Liverpool ended up like showing up for themselves in that game. Maybe.
True,
Say that.
true, and it's like not just physical fatigue, but like that, it's emotional fatigue. I think also just it's difficult to approach the final. I don't know what the context was behind it, behind Kelleher playing, but I know that if I'm Virgil and if I'm Salah, not having Trent available, Gravenberch going off, Allison not being there, like that is also just emotion deflating because who is going to give you that moment when you look around, especially for those big players? And I think you could see that is like Salah got slaughtered for that performance yesterday, but like he didn't get much help. You know what I'm saying? He was not put in a position. It's not like the Champions League final where Mane and them were like, when they got chances and Courtois was being an animal. It's not like they were creating chances and being denied. They were just not doing much. They were just not doing much. And then you take away that help and then you take away Trent, who is a guy who does things. He does things. So there's that emotional fatigue of like, who's going to do this thing? Like, who's going to do it? We need a moment. Like, who's going to give it to us? You could sense that from Liverpool.
I think what stood out for me the most, on top of what everything you guys are speaking to, I don't disagree with anything, is this game to me was the embodiment of kind of how, for as much as football is, in my opinion, the most skill-heavy team sport there is, this is just a reminder that, pace and power can get it done. And it's why whenever we see these, greatest midfielders of all time, and don't get me wrong, the Xavis, the Iniestas, the Modric's, they're all there. But when people like definitively say, no, like Seydorf, Vieira, Makelele, they wouldn't touch them, I'm like, put them on a pitch and let's see. Because it was night and day. Like McAllister, Zoboslai, Gravenberch, who's no slouch himself, physically speaking. But Tonali, Jarlinton is a cheat code. I saw Twitter saying he's the Shaquille O'Neal of football players. he was literally like, dunking on niggas in the midfield, So that for me was the most glaring difference. And it's so fascinating because with Newcastle, the strategy, I think in previous episodes, a long time ago, we all kind of touched on Eddie Howe and the limitation that this midfield brings because he is playing 3,
Workhorses.
Workhorses in the midfield. And none of them really have that final ball. Bruno Guimaraes, sometimes will unlock his boom cha cha every now and then. But for the most part, it's pace and power. But it just seems like the past 2-3 months, Newcastle have been a nuisance, like when it comes to, the game against Arsenal, even the game against Liverpool that they lost. And now this, so it's fascinating. It's like Eddie Howe is like he's a paradox because it's what he's going to do, but it works, The other thing I wanted to shout out was Murphy. I think Jacob Murphy is... He's a prem winger, guys. I really mean that. And I don't mean it in the sense that he's great, he's a world beater. No. He is Aaron Lennon in the flesh, in the modern day. Like, not as good as Aaron Lennon, but he is that model of English player where he's going to be in this league for a long time. He's going to have big games, big performances, but he's never going to ascend. I just feel like we've lost that. We've kind of lost the guy. Thabani, you spoke about this a long time ago with Zaha, where you were like, dude, it's fine to play for Palace. Like, it's actually okay. Not every time you need to, oh, you're at Everton, you need to go. No. The last Premier League winger I can think of was our Steven Pienaar. And if you saw what happened when he joined Spurs, he wasn't atrocious, but relative to his levels, so I look at Jacob Murphy and I think he's dying with the tune. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the performance. I enjoyed, was it Isak's goal he assisted when he scored?
Yeah.
So it's...
I think so. I got lost in celebration. Celebration got me too hyped. Can't remember who played the pause.
What did Isak do? Isak was on these ones. He's like, check this guy. Check this guy, bro.
Ooh, Virgil has been disrespected. But yeah, no, for sure. So now to kind of flip over to the Liverpool side of things, Thabani, you spoke on Salah getting murdered. Erupted in terms of how he's being received, and it erupted into a whole conversation in our group chats about where he ranks all time as an African player, which is a conversation I do think we should touch on briefly here. Before we get into that, though, and Thabani, we're going to start with you. I do just want to preface this by saying it's so funny how it seems the pendulum swings. I mean, this is football for everyone, but with Salah, 2 months ago, we're having conversations of, this is a world beater, this is generational, and all that, and he is. But yeah, and I felt vindicated. I think we all did. We felt validated when we were having this conversation. Now we see this performance, and it's like the complete opposite, and I think we all feel validated in slaughtering him. Before you give us your thoughts in terms of where he ranks all time as an African, in what range, do you think it's because he's not appealing to the eye that he's so easily, do you think that's what it is, or what do you think it is that results in...
Siba, I'm sorry in advance for what you're about to hear, brother.
I know. I'm also going to apologize to Siba. And I'm going to apologize to you, Khanya, because what I have is a double-edged answer. So let's talk about Salah, first of all. I think, like I said 2 months ago, or a month and a half ago, what I was watching from Salah, I called it the worst all-time great season I've ever seen, right? I'm not enjoying it. I don't get excited to watch Salah. You don't switch on the TV to tune into Liverpool to see what Salah is going to do. You know it's coming. You can appreciate the levels, but from a football perspective, there's nothing in you. It doesn't stir your soul. It doesn't get you going. Like I said, no one is throwing on a Salah comp of this season 10 years from now. It's not happening. The same way we're throwing on Yaya comps, the same way I can go get you a Hazard comp, I can get you Arsenal fans a Sanchez comp. That'll bring something to you. Only Siba's being gassed by what he's seeing now. It's the same with Haaland. Except we don't know any City fans other than Sibia. Wow. Do you think Sibia's spinning Haaland highlights from 2 years ago? Really? You really think that's what he's doing? He's not, bro. De Bruyne season from 5 years ago, we'll sit down and watch that. That's the difference, right? And I said, and I hate to use this word, but there's no aura, bro. There's just no aura. He doesn't have that thing that just encapsulates you as a football fan. It's the reason I'm loving watching Xerxes at the moment. Xerxes has aura. I see Xerxes do things, I'm like, okay. I'm like, Xerxes. Exactly. It's like, I'm Xerx. When he does something, you're like, that's my guy. I don't feel that for Salah, okay? That's the first thing. That's the first take that I have on Salah, right? The second thing I'd like to say, and this is probably going to get me in a lot of trouble, but I held my tongue in the group today. So to give everyone context, there was a big argument in the group about where Salah ranks in terms of best African footballers. And to boil it down, to oversimplify it, essentially one camp was saying that sometimes Salah is protected. He doesn't get a lot of criticism because he's overprotected from a Liverpool standpoint because of what he's done, and he's always held in high regard in terms of attackers and stuff like that. Then there was another camp saying that, no, well, because he's not aesthetically pleasing and as easy on the eye, people look at him differently. So it's kind of harder to appreciate what he does, and that actually leads him to get more criticism. I was laughing at those messages because the two people sending those messages are the two people I believe give Neymar too much credit because of how easy he is on the eye, because of how he plays football. Neymar gets daps for the exact same reason Salah doesn't get daps. Your eyes tell you everything. Your eyes lead to your eyes feed your sensations. So if you are able to look at Neymar in a different way because of how he makes you feel, then you surely understand why people don't get moved by Salah because of the way because he's not easy on the eye. I didn't want to say it in the group, but how can you not see that connection? And it's just, it was perfect that it was the two people, the two Neymar sexuals in our group making that point. I loved it. I loved it, and I think I deserved it. But I think that's it. Like, guys, it's not hard to like yes, we love numbers, GA, like yes, goals and assists, records, but like sometimes I said it. We used to go back like on the weekend when we were in high school just to watch Eden Hazard play, man. Used to tune into a Chelsea game to watch him do his thing. I used to watch Sanchez cut us up. You know, Sneaks knows the game. He knows the game when Sanchez cut United up. You have those memories, and you're like, wow, I'm glad I saw that. When was your last wow moment with Salah?
I do want to say this. Can I answer, or do you have more you want to?
I think I've got my point across. So I think the question was in terms of ranking his greatness. I think, like I said, my first response was it's difficult to argue in our generation who've seen obviously the great Africans that we grew up with. He sits at the table on merit because of what he's achieved. But then I think it becomes even harder because I said, let's go to our fathers and tell them to rank Salah above the guys that they saw. And we know the relationship they have with African footballers and the African stars that they saw growing up. It's so, I said, and I don't see an old head putting Salah over JJ Okocha. I don't see it. It's not happening. You can, our generation can, maybe these Gen Zs watching can. I have no right to do that. I'm not going to be the guy to start fighting for Salah. I grew up on, the greats that we grew up on. And I will stand for those guys. I'll fight for those guys. I saw those guys when we were watching AFCON. We didn't even know what AFCON meant. We were watching AFCON, watching Oaks lift, watching Oaks push, watching Oaks get the job done for their country. And then you look at the guys that Salah's being compared to in our group today, it was Mane and Mahrez. I was thinking to myself, well, Mane's won everything Salah's won on an individual and club level. Plus Golden Boots. But I was getting to that. I was saying, on a club level, Mane's done that. Mahrez has won more than Salah and Mane at club level. He did it at Leicester and City. So on a club level, he's got him right. And then both of them captained their countries to an AFCON. So it's like, even in his generation, there's just nothing about him that makes him number one. So for him to not even be number one amongst these guys, subjectively, makes it very hard to put him top 5 with the big guys, with the guys with serious CVs. So if I have to give a take, because I know I've waffled a bit, thank you to all those who've been patient and listened to me rant, but I can't put him in my all-time African top 5. Not disrespectfully, but if we're presenting cases, if Oaks come and give me, if one by one Oaks line up and say, this is my case for Drogba, this is my case for Toure, this is my case for this guy, this is my case for this guy. By the time I hear Salah, I'm sold on the other guys. That's what it is. I'm already sold. I'm sold on the other guys. I'm not dissing Salah.
Have better packages, in your opinion. Pause.
I like their stories more. I like their stories more than Salah's.
Huge pause.
Me pause.
No. Him.
But yeah, I just like I like the stories of other guys, and even I don't know what Salah can do between now. If he leaves Liverpool now, what's he gonna go do? That'll push him up. It'll be tough. But yeah, that's my side of things.
Before I go to Khanya, I was gonna say, Salah. The thing about Salah that makes it so hard is, you spoke about like this is gonna sound like I'm yatzing him, but I promise you I'm not. You know how like when you watch football clips from like the 60s, 70s, and 80s, you'll have like the unconventional style, but then you'll be able to say, oh no, they were the trailblazers, so you can adapt. So if you watch a George Weah clip, it's not going to look as polished as an Eto'o clip, right? But you'll give grace because he was first. It's like with all the African players, it's like the aesthetic, it's like George Weah, Eto'o, Drogba, like George Weah, JJ, Eto'o, Drogba, Mahrez. And now Salah's like taking us back to the 60s. I think that's the thing about Salah, where it's hard to argue against you, because I think I said in the voice note that I sent on the group, I said, listen, as a footballer, for better or for worse, you are capped by your technical ability. Meaning, if you do not have a certain level of affinity with the football at a baseline, no matter what you do statistically, you will never overcome the other people that sit at that same table with you. It's why Shearer has had more goals than Henry's whole career. But if you ask anyone who the best Premier League striker of all time is, it's Thierry Henry, because his affinity with the football was just better than what Shearer could do with the football too. So that's why, like, Thabani, whilst I hear you speak, I want to disagree with you. And in fact, I did disagree on the group. But it's such a nice way to put it. And I'm thinking of like, oh no, like, to really look me in the eye and say, like, I'd rather have, like, the way I always, when I was speaking to my Liverpool fans, they were telling me Salah over Henry or Salah over this. I said, okay, Shap, me and you, life on the line. I get my guy, you get your guy. Crossfield diag, no bounce. Do you back your guy? I back my guy. Do you back your guy? And then they started saying, no. I said crossbar challenge. My guy, your guy. 30 yards. Yeah, let's see. And now it becomes a different conversation. So, Khanya, I'll come to you now. But that, Thabani, I hear you, because it's the accolades are there, but the accolades are not more than the other people. And on a footballing level, it's night and day. Khanya, what do you have to say?
Tabso, I'd like to take this moment to give you a daps. For the first time in a very long time, I have been entirely swayed by someone's point on the D&D episode. And it's such a simple thing.
Hey, cut the cameras. Let's end the episode. We can end it there. We can end it there.
Something when you first pointed out how I feel about Neymar as a footballer, I was thinking, no, man, I don't think that Hazard is above Salah, right? Even though I cared about Hazard quite a bit because of, what you saw every weekend. If I'm thinking of who I want to win me a game, I could rely on Salah more reliably than I could Hazard, right?
Not a final.
I'm not going to go there for right now. But I think what I'm left with more than anything else is the last thing that she started touching on, the crossfield diagonal, the crossbar challenge, and something ironically that I wish someone had said it to see at the time. A free kick. Just a free kick. If Salah could take free kicks, I think we'd all rate it higher. He can't. I think if you give Salah 30 attempts at a free kick, there's nothing.
In
And
fact,
I think that's
in fact, I don't even think he takes for Egypt. I don't think.
I know he's not a man of, because his technique is, unfortunately, if you're comparing him to Mahrez, to Hazard, to Neymar, like all the Oaks where numbers wise he should be exactly where those guys are. He just isn't. Even though he's won more than Hazard, right? I guess actually no, because Hazard has a Champions League technically. He didn't play. He didn't do anything. No, he has a Champions League. Hazard has a Champions League medal.
The one where they beat Liverpool.
Yeah.
Hazard got a Champions League from Salah.
Yeah. So when you put all that together, something else. Sorry, before you go, something else that is also unfortunate, I think, that does play a big role in terms of like how to all be said and done at the end is where you were at your peak, like who wanted you, what were your potential options. Salah has the unfortunate reality of having needed to go to Liverpool to be the guy, whereas and I have him above Mane, right? If we're comparing him to all the African guys, but I feel like everyone else also just peaked at higher levels. I feel like Drogba's peak at Chelsea is higher than what Salah's peak was at Liverpool, even with the numbers.
Define like peak in what sense?
Yeah.
I'd actually say peak prime, those conversations. I actually think Salah is probably now top 3 compared to the other African players.
You'd have him top 3?
Off of peak. It's kind
if
of
you pick a
hard
season,
to argue against. Yeah.
I love when we go, like, when you go season for season, like, 12, 13, Drogba, 08, whatever. Like, I think Salah's got 2, let's see how this season finishes. Salah's got 2 all-time greats. His first season in the Prem and this season are like all-time greats. So season for season, he can chop to a lot of oaks. I do want to give him his daps before I hand it back. I think as much as thank you, Khanya, for the daps. I appreciate that on a public platform. I know, in private it happens all the time, but on a public platform it means a lot. I think Salah deserves credit though, because to be a bit of a football nerd, like there's other things beyond technical ability that make you a great player. It's one thing having the ability to be great, and you guys know how I feel about players who can be great and don't deliver. Like when it's your job to be great, you must be great. One thing he's had, the durability, the availability, and the mentality is what has made him an all-time great, or at least got him in these conversations. To be available for that long, to
No,
perform
he
at this
isn't.
level.
He's an all-time great. He's an all-time great. Let's just have
Yeah.
that.
Okay,
Like,
no, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
He is an all-time great. He's an all-time Prem great. He's an all-time African footballer. Like, to be in that conversation is because he showed up season after season and scored 20 plus goals in the best league in the world. He's been involved in big moments, maybe not the biggest of moments, but like to do it over and over again. And you dapped him for this maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. You said you started loving the way he speaks about himself. He has that Cristiano, Zlatan, like, I'm playing football because I want to be the best. And ultimately, if I'm the best, my team will win. He's got that element about him, which, like, watch football. Any of us can just turn a TV on. You don't see that in today's game. We can go across the league. We can go across Europe. We can go across teams. That's more rare than you think. A guy who believes himself, backs his talk, and ultimately, when it comes
Does
to
the work,
moments,
bro.
and I'm talking about penalties and I'm talking about stuff, but he will step up and take a match-winning penalty. He will step up and, demand the ball. He may not do anything with the ball when it comes to him. He may just give it back to Trent, but he will ask for it. And I respect that. No, but I'm taking the mic. But like, so as much as I've taken a lot away from him, I do want to give him that, like, to get yourself in that conversation. We're talking about fine margins here. We're talking about the gap between being the 7th greatest African and the 5th and the 3rd. Not are you in the conversation or not. And I just want to make that
No,
clear.
he is firmly there. And honestly, when you're saying you won't watch the comps, I want to say I will watch the comps. To answer your question, the last super memorable Salah goal, it was against Manchester City. It was from quite some time ago, but he's done it. He has those moments. Salah has a comp worth watching. The unfortunate reality is that if you're talking about like what his talent level is, like at a base in terms of what his technique is, he doesn't have what Mahrez has. But very few people do. If I'm saying not as talented as Mahrez, it's something yes, it's a fact. But the reality is, what he's done for Liverpool is more than what Mahrez did for City.
Yeah. And
That's an accomplishment. It's a huge one.
Do you know what ultimately kills Salah? And I actually touched on this in the group. It's what kills Salah is, Thabani, just hold that, we'll come to you now. But what kills Salah is the fact that he's playing the wrong position. If Salah was a striker, I think now he enters the top 3 conversations of greatest African with this exact same resume. The difference is when you're a winger, your comparison is Mahrez. It's not Abu Bakr. It's not even Tunyatu Abu Bakr. He's like one of the premier African strikers. When you're a winger, we care about how it gets done, more so than if you were a striker. Because there have been legendary strikers, your Alan Shearers, your Inzaghi's, your etceteras, who have been etched into football lore without necessarily having that aesthetic chop. So in my opinion, if Salah was playing as a striker where we could now make it a conversation of goals, assists, and winning and match winners solely, as opposed to being drawn into conversations with Hazard, with Mahrez, we receive him differently. Khanya, you disagree?
Erling Haaland. Doesn't matter what Haaland does, I will never place above certain oaks. He can score 300 goals in one game.
That's the extreme. Salah still has an affinity with the football. It's just limited. If Haaland had Salah's playing ability, I think with the same goals, the conversation about Haaland in terms of where he ranks changes. It's the fact that Haaland, as Roy Keane said, has League 2 level. Salah has ability. It's just not at the highest level compared to Hazard and Mahrez. Thabani?
I'm on thing. I just didn't like what Khanya said when he said Salah, you think he's done more? I'm not about to list accolades. You think he's done more at Liverpool than Mahrez did at City? Or has he done more for Liverpool? Like, has he done more for the club?
More for Liverpool than Mahrez has for City.
Okay.
Bro, Savinho had like one cute touch. They said Mahrez regen. He's here. They won't do that for whoever replaces Salah. They can't. There's no guy that can arrive. No, like it was said tongue in cheek, and it's like it's aesthetic thing. It's cute to be like Salah, to be the Salah guy, to take Salah's number versus what it takes to take Mahrez's number. It's not the same. Levels.
Because
Big gap.
because the squad quality and the quality of attackers at City was higher. It's probably
Yeah,
harder
but they,
to do what.
but yeah, but
No,
but
no,
they were
no.
going
I'm
ball
not
for ball for
disagreeing with you.
titles, right? Yeah.
I mean,
They have the same amount
you
of
know,
Champions
Mahrez
Leagues.
has Mahrez has 5
Actually-
prims, right?
Yeah.
You're aware
Yeah.
he's got 5 prims. Salah's about to be 2, and has the same number of Champions Leagues. Has the same number of African Player of the Years. They both. Oh no, I don't know if Mahrez doesn't have a golden boot. They've got a PFA now.
He definitely doesn't have a golden boot.
Yeah, but he's got a PFA. Like this idea, he's not a whitewash. Mahrez was just not the key guy at City. That's what you're saying. That's what you're saying. It's not the other way around, which is Salah did more.
Look,
It's just Mahrez wasn't the key.
we were just aligned. Let's not go too far.
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
you got my point.
Okay.
So, Khanya, for you, so Thabani, from what I heard, you have Salah top 7 African players of all time.
Guaranteed. He's top 10. Guaranteed. And then where you place him is a matter of how you see football and what you saw growing up.
So where do you have him? Is it like the 5 to 7 range or the 7 to 9?
I've got him in. He's got 6 to 10. I've got him in the 6 to 10.
6 to 10. Khanya, where would you have him?
See, I think I don't want to make the mistake of comparing him to Oaks, who I didn't get to. I don't reminisce about, right? Like extensively.
Why? We do that every day, bro.
All the time, bro.
You're allowed to. Like no one will be hacked.
I want to simplify it and put Salah in a top 5 with an asterisk. Otherwise, he is going to have to unfortunately be in the 6 to 10. But I think it's if we're talking like the modern guys. If I'm saying Drogba, if I'm saying Yaya Toure, I'm saying Eto'o, I'm saying what's it? Wait, because the other issue is there's Oaks who I want to just put because it's just like I can't ignore what you were doing, like just in your wider context. Like when I brought up Abu Trika in the group. Like if Egyptian Oaks are saying no, he's above Salah because he won more, and even though Salah played in a different time, different context, different challenges, it's hard for me to really figure out where I'm placing those kinds of players. Which is like, you know, if I'm being honest, I can't. So I'm not 6 to 10, but he's ahead of Mane. That's the point I'll leave you guys with. For me,
all time, he probably is. Whoa. I've just confused myself.
For me,
because I was about to say something contradictory. I was about to say, I don't know. Because like I said in the group earlier, I put Salah third out of Mane as an African footballer. I guess it's how do you want to interpret it, right? If we're going to put the word African there, it means we're taking, and we're talking about, we just had this whole Jamie Carragher thing. The way Africans perceive African football, the way Europeans perceive African football, and the way Africans perceive European football all play a role in this. So we're talking about 3 Africans that play in Europe. So like that's where they ply their trade. But if we're going to put the word African footballer, then we have to bring it back to Africa.
We have to weigh
right?
African things a bit more.
Please, please, can we get an editor to put that thing on my head? You know that hat that does this one? The Dr. Umar style. I need that one on my head when I make this point. So if we're going to put the word African there, right? The only thing those guys do in Africa, because they never played league football here, they never plied their trade here, is using AFCON as a yardstick. And I think if we're going to use the word African, okay, it's AFCON and it's how CAF and I guess the BBC, because those are the 2 most notable African footballing awards, BBC African Player of the Year and CAF Football of the Year. Like, how did they rank you? And the reality is, Mahrez and Mane got their CAF Player of the Year when they won AFCON, right? They were the leading players in Africa because they're AFCON awards. And I don't think, I will check if Salah got one. No, he doesn't have one.
Correction, no, but Mahrez won it for Leicester.
Oh, was it for Leicester? Okay, cool. But even to have a CAF African Player of the Year, you know what I'm saying? So I was struggling to put him ahead of those 2 guys within his generation. But at the same time, I'm very comfortable to put him in my 6 to 10 all-time Africans. And you say Mane is not ahead of Salah, is he in the top 10?
He is, but he's below Salah.
Okay. So they're in the mix.
Thabani's on fire today because you're also making me rethink it, because like when you have the conversation of the best Premier League player and people say Ronaldo and someone says Henry, obviously Ronaldo had a better career, but in the Prem,
it was Henry.
Right.
So I'll counter with this.
Hold on, let me finish this quickly. And even though Ronaldo won the Champions League whilst playing for a Prem team and Henry didn't, it doesn't necessarily correlate to Premier League dominance. So with Thabani saying that, Salah was in my top 5. Now I have him 5 to 7 or 6 to 7, 6 to 8 in that range too. Khanya, you were going to say?
No, look, understandable. But if we're talking about what you do for African football, I feel like a big part of it is that you do but it helps quite substantially if you are a South African person playing in the Premier League, right? You put the flag on the map, right? Like people know more about the country because you are there. For Salah to be top 5, hear me again, top 5 all-time Premier League top goal scorers as a man from the African continent.
It's quite mad.
Dog, that can't be erased. When they look and they say, "Who was this guy? Wait, from Egypt? Who else? Who else did this? In which other top 5 league? Wait, there's no other guy, bro. There's no other guy. Drogba, for all his greatness, is not there. Other Oaks aren't there. Like none of them have been able to sustain it and to do it to that level. And obviously, Oaks won. Oaks were massive players for their teams. Guys, what Salah has done, I don't know when we'll see it again. When we'll see it, and we'll just say, where did he start in Europe? Basel. Okay, he fights, gets a move to Chelsea. They say, no, nothing. And they shift him. And usually, Oaks don't get that many chances to come back and be at the top level again and even get the move again that brings you back. He has to go to Fiorentina. He has to go to Roma. And then he makes his way back to the Premier League and says, this time round, I'm going to break the record that Ronaldo had, that Henry had. He said, no, Salah, me, it's mine. Haaland hasn't taken it from him. But the fact that Salah was the guy is, guys, I can't fight for him hard enough to say he has changed things for the perception of African football to some extent. The fact that Carragher has to make the statement about AFCON, the fact that AFCON's a conversation in the first place, is because Mo Salah's in the conversation.
No, you're right. And look, I think it's to be clear and to clarify my stance, and I'm sure Thabani's too. When we say he's 6 to 8, it's not saying he could never be top 5, never be top 3. I think it's just to say that like the margins that you're speaking to, like you're talking about how he's changed the model of the footballing world.
No, I'm arguing for him above money. That's it. That's what I'm saying here. That was all Salah money. That's it.
I think for me it becomes a lot harder because if we're going to be stats guys, because that's what Salah has, and that's not a small feat, as you pointed out. Like the names you've mentioned in terms of who he eclipsed is unbelievable. But if you're going to be a stat guy, let's be a stat guy. Put your PLs on the table. Put your FA Cups on the. That's my issue with Salah. If these statistics came with trophies, it's a no-brainer. But the problem is, like,
he's doing a Bruno.
Not to the same extent, but you get where I'm going. It's like it's kind of harder for me to, as Thabani said at the beginning, quite eloquently, how these guys make you feel, right? Like how when you watch them, it's a lot easier to ignore that if what comes with that is 4 Premier League titles, 3 FA Cups. But I think it's like Liverpool have 5 titles, trophies, going to be 6 over this 8-year period. It's kind of like it's tough. And then the other trophy element is the AFCONs, and he fell short there too. So I think he's pigeonholed himself. And it's unfortunate because it's not intentional. It's just how he plays football, how he performs, how he plays, how he looks. And when you look at his story, it's going to sound like I'm anyatting him, but like it makes sense. When you hear the story of him taking the bus 3 hours to go train with a team and then 3 hours back, and he didn't have time to get a wall. You know what Berbatov says when you get a wall? Somebody did. Now you see, guys. I'm not trying to
to build that up. I thought you were talking about his work ethic. I thought that's where you were going. That he sacrificed a lot. You built all that up to say he couldn't find a wall, bro. He couldn't go practice.
No, he couldn't to do those.
Oaks is saying he lived too far from training. He didn't have time to say 1, 2, 1, 2.
No, but you can see, dude, like Salah's footballing ability looks like a guy who just emphasizes getting the job done.
Oh my God.
And I respect it because unlike other Africans, and I'm sure it's a bit different in North Africa, but unlike other Africans, like he put in the hard work that you guys thought I was going to speak to maintain his body. That's not so funny. Aces for how many years? When did we do warm up stretching? None. Meaning all of that information, and we're like the premier country nation in Africa. I mean Egypt too, but like I think averaged across, I think we're better than Egypt. I think Egypt have Al Ali, who are legendary, but I don't know if across the league holistically it's the same level of the PSL. And if we're doing that, I can tell you for free, in Egypt, Nigeria, Morocco, they're not doing it either. So that means Salah educated himself on the physical aspect, right? That body pause you don't get just by having good genes. It's refined, it's intentional. So it's just hard, man. It's hard. And it is a nostalgia thing to an extent, but I think that's part of what football is. Because again, to Neymar, I would put him in that A1 tier. But then when you look at the career, you're like, why is he here? Then you just put a video on and you understand why he's there. So it's tough. But I just wanted Khanya, based off of what you said, him being above Mane. Yeah, I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that.
Then we're all good.
I'm not mad at it. Where I think if we had to get everyone listening to the episode, actually, viewers, please give us your top 10 Africans of all time.
Yeah.
Because what we want to see is the guy who has Mahrez ahead of Salah probably has Mane ahead of Salah. But the guy who has Salah ahead of Mahrez probably has Salah, Mane, Mahrez. And it's all about how you see football. A lot of it is the team you support and then like what you appreciate. But what you will see is like, I'm not expecting someone to put Salah. No one's list starts with Salah that I can take seriously. Maybe.
And I'm going to send this. Sorry,
let's clip this.
I'm going to send this exact clip to some of my North African friends too, because I want to see how they view things. Because it's also just a completely different realm of perception as you're speaking to. So yeah, that's a good point, Thabani. Yeah, let's clip this and get the guys to comment below who their top 10 are. But yeah, carry on.
Yeah, because I think the list will reveal a lot about like how you see things. For example, I'm happy to say my list, based on what I thought about today, it's probably Salah first out of the three. Now I've changed my own mind because it was not like this at 3 p.m. But I'll put Salah there. And now I can't look up. I go Mahrez, man, just because he's got all the prems and the AFCON. He's got more prems than both of them combined.
And the tech.
And it's not cheap prems. Like, he was important at City, but it's the Leicester prem, bro. That's something that neither of the others will ever do or could ever do, to be honest, because they were never going to be in it. Maybe they were too good to be in that position. But like that Leicester prem with the AFCON, the way he won AFCON, the last minute free kick, let's not forget, like, it wasn't just the way he won AFCON, like, he did put his country on his back, as much as we speak about, like, putting your country on your back. And it means more for those Oaks. It meant a lot. That was a big AFCON. That was a big moment for Mahrez, because it almost tipped him into that scale of, like, you know what? This is a guy we need to take seriously all the time now. Not just the bit part player that he started out as City as. So, like, I do have Mahrez at my one. I have Salah over Mane because of, like Khanya said, it's the goals. It's the goals. It's the goals. It's goals year after goals. I mean, year after year goals. Just even this year, the durability, the availability. He's still winning Liverpool league titles, ultimately. So that's why I have him there. And then Mane third because, yeah, he's not quite the heights of the other two, but not too far behind. I think the AFCON also did his legacy great deal. And also just maybe his, like that football affinity, his affection with the fans, his ability to turn up, not just in big games, but just play his style of game in any game ever that I've seen.
Fearless.
He's one of the only guys that his style of play was the way he played football. He never adapted to a defender he faced, a system he faced. He was never limited. Like, the fact that he was able to impose himself physically, technically, year after year during that spell at such a high level as well. Like, he played rapid, strong, aggressive football for like 3 years, maybe, non-stop. So, yeah, that's my list. I go Mahrez, Salah, Mane is my list for the three.
I think, yeah. Look, Mane, Salah are Rooney, Ronaldo regen. You can make the argument of in 07-06 Rooney being a better finisher than Ronaldo, right? And on top of that, being a more well-rounded player, but Ronaldo being the offensive outlet, maybe because he was more decisive and maybe more had a greater you couldn't restrict him. So I think that's why Fergie went that route. But I see
Also, maybe
obviously
also
when
just being more goal hungry fundamentally, like Rooney
more goal hungry,
complaining
and that
about not wanting to play as a nine
perfect.
a lot of the time.
Perfect. That really is it, because when I look at Mane and Salah, I see the same thing. I do think in terms of holistic profiles in 17-18, Mane, like he edges Salah. Like the thing about Mane that always wowed me is for whatever, because there's a bit of lack of tech too, but when it came to striking a football, that man, he could hit a ball like he was a nine. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I'm not mad at that list. And what I will say in closing, before actually let me give it to Khanya to close before we move topics, is I think the fact that we're changing and chopping, it speaks to the margins, and what a blessing to have. Honestly, like African football, as much as football has died, African football has had a serious regen in the past 7-8 years, and that is because of the likes of Salah, the Koulibalis, the Manes, the Mahrezes. So shout out to these legends, dude, because they put us on the map. And like you said, I don't think in 2015 we would have had AFCON on Sky or CBS. You get the Umar, yeah, no, we'll get it for all of us. Khanya, do you have anything you want to say in closing, or can we jump ship?
And that's why they call it debates never die. The answers keep changing. You never know. You never know for real. Tab has changed his mind twice in this one episode. It's hard. It's hard to be certain about certain things. But yeah.
On a serious note, this is me clip farming right now, guys. It's up to us as Africans to stay strong and unite. And it's up to us to no, I'm saying something serious though. I'm saying that like
we're
you said,
listening. We're listening.
What a privilege it is to be able to speak about Mane, Mahrez, Salah at the highest level of all of football. And I like the fact that Sheik's brought up Koulibaly, because we know how much he means to the Senegalese people. Al-Lusisi, the coach, like we have to keep riding for these oaks ultimately. We have to keep riding for these oaks, because the Carragher clip is just, I'm not piling on Carragher, but it's a reflection of there is still that attitude towards African football, how much quality, Africans are still imports to the superior league, the superior football in Europe, where if you look at it in the past, 15, 20 years, that is the level that Africans actually play at, the very best play at that level. So it's up to us to keep championing these guys, putting their names in conversations, talking about them like they are the guys. Because, when you were talking about, what they've achieved and looking at their thing, it pains me to say this, but Harry Kane is an all-time great that can't hold a candle to any of these guys in any conversation about greatness.
Yeah, at all.
Any conversation about greatness for country or club, it doesn't hold a candle. So and if no one says it, no one will know. We have to keep saying it. So one continent, one nation.
Kinako! I love
there
that.
We go.
Great,
there we go.
Great ending there. So now we can move on to La Liga. I think that's the next most exciting thing, because as we said, Prem is in postseason. I don't know what the fuck this is. But
Prem, it's the worst Prem season I ever saw in my life, bro.
Fucking hate it, dude.
I think even the players are over it. You can tell even the players are like, no one's playing for anything, bro. No one's playing for anything. Even Forest,
just have games.
Even Forest, yeah. Forest. Oh, what a story. Forest in Europe. Even they are playing guys.
No one's gonna catch us. No one's serious about this thing. So let's go.
Forest are uncatchable. That's the headline of the season, man. End this thing. End this Premier League season. We'll watch the other leagues. End the Prem.
Oh my God. No, this is the right time, guys, for you to start venturing into other leagues, because La Liga is having one of its best seasons in some years. It's been on the up in a while. Obviously, the headline was Flick's Barcelona reviving from, goodness gracious,
impossible result.
Thabani, after Solo had scored the second goal, Thabani said RIP Barca. And usually when that happens, you did save yourself well by quoting the tweet first before anyone else, the message first. You were smart. But I saw the message when Barca equalized. I didn't even feel like adding it, because I was in shock. I truly believed 2-0 down away from home at Atleti, that ends one way. But they're the gift that keeps on giving. Khanya, how scared are you of this Barcelona team as a Madrid star?
I've already seen the worst of it. They're not going to beat us. They're not going to beat us 8-0. We've seen.
Twice.
They've already hammered us. They've already hammered us. Like in terms of fear, it's just like fucking hell, man. Like we have to at some point address the Carlo eyebrow ball. That can't be the solution to how direct and menacing and incessant this Barca side is. Because ultimately that's what it is. The fact that they don't stop attacking. It doesn't matter that they were 2-0 down. They said, no, there's still time. They said, no, we can reel you boys back. Trust me, we're still in this thing. The fact that they just continue to generate chances, and like when you play football that way, you always give yourself a chance of winning. The fact that they did it against Atletico Madrid is genuinely, I think there's maybe one other team in world football where I think that kind of result is harder to replicate. And yeah, I can't that flick enough. I'm so glad that before like anyone came back to me about it, that I came on D&D and said, hey, I was wrong about how this tenure was going to go. Because wow, bro, wow, to be this direct, to be this unflinching in your approach, even at this point in time, when there's been so many moments you'd have thought, surely you need to find a different way to kind of do this. When it looked like teams had started to figure them out, for them to be where they are right now, shout out to them. Shout out to Lamine Yamal. Deflection, no deflection. You got to take the shirt off. You to while out the way he did. That was the perfect celebration. I've never seen a more fitting celebration for a goal. This year at least.
It's storybook stuff. I mean, there's so many different things to talk about when you look at this Barcelona team. Thabani, as a former Bayern player, like, you know, Lewandowski's had quite a...
Oh, I thought he was calling me a former Bayern player. I appreciated it.
That's hilarious. How do you receive him? You know, because Lewandowski's been has abused him. I'm not without
torn him to shreds. Torn him to shreds.
Torn into shreds. So not without reason, because I shared some of the sentiments. But now he seems to be imposing himself more. That goal was a striker's finish. How do you look at him in this Barcelona team? Because Barcelona, this team, you know, they don't really have senior players. When you really look at the starting 11, it's really just, I mean, they had Szczesny, Martinez, Kubarsi, Kunde, Balde, Pedri, Casado, Yamal, Olmo, Rafinha, Lewandowski. Olmo and Lewandowski are the only two senior players with European pedigree in that team.
Vets.
So,
vets.
Yeah, the only real vets. So how do you receive Lewandowski's performances at Barcelona? Because he seemingly has found, I mean, not just now, but maybe you could say last season too, he's found his groove.
3 words. Class is permanent. I think so I was bitter when Lewandowski left. I was bitter. I didn't like the fact that he left. And also he went to what looked like a Barca that wasn't necessarily on the up and up. So it didn't make sense to me when I thought we could win another Champions League with him at Bayern. It took me a while to then like accept the fact that no, like he's still, I mean, he was 34, you know, when he started really kicking on at Barca. And it's like, okay, you're 34 doing this. He's another player who's like got a well-documented history of just looking after his body to lengths that you've never heard of before. Like, for him to be doing this at 36, like, class is permanent. Like, sometimes you would get shunned, you know, 4 or 5 years ago, shunned out of the best striker conversation because he was at Bayern. I think all his Barca tenure has done is now, like, solidify his status as a top 4 of our generation. And I'm talking last 2015 to 2025. Like, he's in that mix. You cannot deny Lewandowski. He will get you a goal. He will perform in a big game. He brings his teammates into play. His football IQ is great. He's got great technical ability. Like, he is the guy who he thinks he is. To do it
and
at
he should have Ballon d'Or.
He should have a Ballon d'Or as well. He should have a Ballon d'Or. But to do it in another league at this level. So it's not like he went to Barca and was a bit part player or contributed. He leads through the way he plays. He leads through his age and his experience. But his ability to be like a demanding forward, yet he helps the guys around him. He helps the young Yamal. He helps. I think his leadership style, if you will, is what allows Rafinha to wear the armband. And like Rafinha is like that tenacious, all-out attack, like just go forward, go type of player. because Lewandowski knows when to drop off, when to cool off. He knows he'll finish when he gets his chance. Like Lewandowski has gone up in my estimation in this team, and like I respect the fact that he was able to go and just do it like that. I think he proved it to himself. I think he proved it to himself. Like, you know what? I actually am an all-time great. Back to just the structure of how this team is. If you think about, like, you've got Lewandowski's 36, Rafinha's 28, Yamal is 17. Those are three like great ages to have a killer season. If you think about it. 17, like, okay, cool. You're a youngster with nothing to lose. Like, I'm going to go off. Rafinha's 28. He knows the game now. He's comfortable. He's got the armband. And 36, like, are we going to expect that much from Lewandowski next season? Honest, probably no. So it almost feels like a perfect storm of, like, three attackers who are like, you know what? We will put the attacking burden of this entire team on our backs. The rest of you just do what you guys are good at. Like, do what you guys are good at. And all of a sudden, you've got what I now no longer dispute as the most entertaining team in the world football right now. Because what I saw in that comeback was like a team that was never really concerned that they were 2-0 down at any stage. They were not worried. And like it just takes that outrageous goal from Lewandowski. But it's like if I don't want to disrespect the player. If another player scores that goal, it's like, geez, that's a flipping good goal. But it's like, but that's what Lewandowski does. Like that's his movement.
Yes,
1,000%. The movement, the control, the finish. That's Lewandowski, bro. Like that's what he does. And then like to bring his team back in the game. And then from there, it's like, okay, cool. Rafinha, Ferran, Yamal, like do your thing. Like that's how they played. It's like, okay, guys, I've scored my goal. You guys do your thing. So I don't even know what question you asked me, but shout out Lewandowski, and shout out Barca. I respect.
You answered.
Respect.
I wanted to know how you viewed him in the context of this Barca team, because when you look at it from the perspective of profiles, I think that's a great point. It is a front three that blends, but from the age profiles. But when you look at it from, I guess, like if you even after Yamal had the Euro he had, if I said to you Barca's front three is going to be Rafinha and Yamal, you're not going to tremble at that necessarily. But there is a level of, and I think when you speak to the professionalism of Lewandowski and how it enables Rafinha, that was a great point, because Khanya, I was going to go to you with this, the question of Rafinha or Vinicius for Brazil.
Rafinha, by the way, just so we're clear.
And I was going to say, like, giving him the armband has elevated him to it's him and Dembele, they may be related, because there's a very similar, like, they're a very similar.
I understand it now, kind of thing.
Yeah, literally. I understand it now. Like, Dembele he's still a dumb player at his core, but there is a level of gravitas, there's a level of weight to himself on a football field. And it's so, I don't know if it was a celebration at Anfield or in there was another Champions League group stage game I saw of PSG's
against City.
Not City. It was another do or die before City. I forget. I'll have to look. It's like, I'm not. These guys have always seen themselves as the guy in the sense of I'm more talented than everyone else. But now it's like, no, I'm the guy in the sense that I'm responsible. I'm responsible for this team's success or failure. And I look at Brazil, we're jumping a bit ahead, but with the international break, Neymar, obviously, he's been doing well, but got injured again. I think they may need to give the keys. Yeah, he got injured again. Yeah.
No, I'm laughing at...
I wish you didn't say.
No, I'm laughing at Neymar's been doing well, man. No one cares about that shit, dog. Don't lie.
I like
Not like that.
Hey, Dad, let me tell you something. When he scored that goal from the corner, football stopped, dog. That morning thing stopped. There was no big... Listen, for 4 hours of that day, there was no bigger thing in football that had happened.
Neymar did the goal that Son did against United like 2 weeks before. I'm joking.
But yeah, I look at that Brazil setup, and I'm saying the captain, Neymar's obviously the captain. I do think he's a lot more conscientious as a footballer now too. But I think the keys need to go to Rafinha. I think you need to sit Rafinha down and say whatever. Honestly, my Brazil 11, it doesn't have Vinicius in it. I think Rodrigo I think Rodrigo, and I know you love Rodrigo Thabani, I think Rodrigo and Rafinha as your wingers make a lot more sense than Vinicius. Now, Vinicius can play down the center, maybe. But as my wingers, I'm taking Rafinha on the left, Rodrigo on the right. And you know what the best thing about these two is? They can play the other flank just as well. So I don't know, Khanya, as a Madridista, and then I'll go to Thabani on this, and then we can close. How do you feel hearing that? Do you think Rafinha has eclipsed Vinny, not as a talent or anything like that, but just as like
as a team player, as a tool,
team professional footballer? How do you take to that?
Oh, I'm not upset at all. Last week during the group, I don't know if you guys would have caught it, but I said Vinicius is going to age terribly. And then Bones laughed, and no one else responded. But I just want to make it clear, I wasn't talking about like his face. I mean as a footballer.
And you know,
Like there was,
Lebone
like there
probably
was
thought you were talking about his.
no, because
Bones
like
definitely
when
missed that. Bones definitely missed that.
look, Bones, I'm not gonna say you missed it, but like when he like having seen only that reaction, I thought the other one's also true, so I can understand why that would be the thought. But there was a specific play that I watched Vinny repeat. I was just like, you were doing that like when you arrived, bro. You're doing that 6 years ago. Like like the things that I would need to have seen from Vinny for someone to be who he's supposed to be. And obviously, Vinny's still young. Vinny's still young, but there are certain things I'm just like, dog, you're not evolving enough. At least not for me. You're not showing certain things. You actually there's times where you can set it up a bit. You're Brazilian, so it looks a bit better. But you can do the stuff Salah does. You can play a game, you can play a 90 the way Salah can, where the only thing is the goal. Where if you're not doing anything else, you might as well not be there.
And he doesn't score enough for that to be his profile.
Yeah, and crucially, and you asked me for Brazil. Vinny for Brazil is a non-entity at this
Can I
point.
even change my question?
Go ahead.
Rafinha, when it's all said and done, say we're 2025 now. Yeah, we're old. 2029. Who is going to be etched into the history of their clubs more at that point?
Oh no, that's Vinny.
No, it's Vinny. Vinny's,
That's Vinny.
Yeah, no. Yeah. The Champions League means more to Madrid fans than.
He's
Yeah. Look, but
Unless,
for Brazil, Brazil, it's a different conversation.
We laughed at a person who I'm not going to name on the podcast, but we laughed at that guy, and he asked a question about Rafinha and Neymar at Barca. And I think if Barca continue the way they are this season, if they get a Champions League this season, guys, there's a very uncomfortable conversation that's coming for some people. I don't want to be there that day. But yeah. That's all I can say on that. I'm glad Rafinha. And look, let me take this moment to say two things as well. I'm not retracting what I said when Barca signed him because it's what I believed at the time. I said Rafinha wasn't a level raiser, and I don't think he was in his first year and a half at Barcelona. I don't think Barcelona improved because they had Rafinha. But I think now they're reaping the benefits of signing a player who was serious about getting better and serious about being good at Barcelona. So I have to credit him for not losing his way. He could have easily been a Dembele, where they could have just sold him for funds. You know,
they were editing pictures of Nico Williams in his number, bro. Like after the Euros. The disrespect was.
I can only respect Rafinha for doing what Khanya always says. He showed us who he is. He said, "Okay, this is who I am." So I'll dap Rafinha. The other thing that I want to dap really quickly is just Barca. I know we've kind of shut all over the season, but it hasn't actually been a bad season. Maybe just the Prem. I also think the Prem hasn't been bad. I think the Prem, what's happened is just a big sandwich effect of like people getting on each other's levels. It hasn't actually been that bad. Maybe Arsenal falling away from the title race makes it look worse than it is, but genuinely, like, the middle teams are also competitive. That's where all the points have been dropped, so it's not that bad. But if you look back at this season, again, you think of a season in terms of, again, who wins stuff and then like your big moments. Barca hammered Bayern, hammered Madrid. I'm not saying Benfica is a massive team, but like took care of their first big European knockout game, and then have this like massive, like Barca have big moments, very well placed throughout the season, and that's actually a sign of a very good team. Like they're not sporadic. Like big games is what they do, you know. So I have to adapt them and respect them, because if they do end up going to the final of the Champions League and winning it, it's no longer like, oh, where did that come from? Like,
Right.
they will probably,
Yeah.
they're probably the most entitled to win it, or might be very soon. So I have to adapt them on that.
They are definitely the most well-rounded team in the competition, and on top of that, they're the most dangerous team in the competition. So I do think they're favorites at this point in time. Yeah, no, that's. I think that we can close on that. Khanya, I just want to get your closing thoughts again. La Liga, you guys winning it. There's that big game. I think May 11th, the El Clasico, which will surely be a title decider.
I have to believe that Madrid are gonna win it. I have to.
Yes.
I can't answer that unbiasedly. I can't.
Okay.
I legitimately I think Mbappe can at all times. If he
One last-
switches it on, there's a game.
Yeah.
Oh, but something I do believe in though, and you're gonna hate this because of something you've stated many times. Arsenal aren't going out next in the Champions League. Just putting it on the record. I want that known here. Bukayo Saka, we're waiting. We spoke start of the season. Saka, Rodrigo, as the great Toby has been saying for quite some time. Let's wait.
I was going to finish with that. I was
Let's
going to
wait.
close with that. End this episode.
Let's
End it. I'm happy to end it. That is a bombshell and a half. Okay.
Let me just say this, Toby, you were right about Khanya. I can't defend him anymore. Mikel Merino winning us games. Okay, let's end this now. You had it here first. Closing sentiment from Khanya. Let's wait. Let's wait. My closing sentiment is Pog back. The football has healed.
You finished.
Football
He
has
doesn't have a
healed.
club. He doesn't have a club.
Hey, let's wait. Let's wait, man. Let's wait.
I have one.
Thabani, closing sentiment.
Kylian Mbappe, Ballon d'Or. Let's wait.
Hey, not mad. That guy has shut me the fuck up.
Let's wait.
Anyways, it's been another episode of Debates Never Die. As always, keep debating and let's wait. I'm going to make that out of the outro.
Thanks so much, guys.